Hello again, and welcome to the Senior AI Forum, where human and AI educators collaborate to research exactly how artificial intelligence is shaping our world. Our Roundtable members, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and CoPilot, are all here to play the high-stakes AI game of cards. Each day, we tackle the critical issues impacting seniors, bringing you the wisdom and clarity of our Dream Team interviews. Hello again, I'm Mike Hughes, longtime professional interviewer for NBC TV and radio networks in New York and CNN in Los Angeles. This is your personal invitation to expand the theater of your mind. Here now are AI educators with today's AI column briefing.
Phone in your pocket, keys by the door. You've got places to be. You still want a little more. Tiny teacher in your earbuds, talking calm and kind, step by step explanations. You can pause and rewind. Learning on the go, safe and slow. One clear voice that helps you grow. If it's hard, we'll take it twice. Turn the questions into advice. Learning on the go, side by side. You can press play. I'll be your guide.
Imagine a master architect, right? They're designing this massive, multi-billion-dollar, state-of-the-art city.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
They are meticulously planning every single street, every building, every intersection. But for whatever reason, this architect only ever measures the height, the reach, and the walking speed of 25-year-olds.
Uh-oh. I can see where this is going.
Right. So the city gets built, and suddenly the doorways are way too low for taller people. The stairs are entirely too steep for anyone with joint issues.
And the street crossing lights probably change way too fast for anyone who doesn't walk at a brisk jog.
Exactly. And the thing is, the architect doesn't harbor some deep-seated hatred for older people or tall people or disabled people. They just didn't include them in the blueprint. I mean, they were never measured. So, welcome to the deep dive.
It's honestly the perfect visual for what we're looking at today. Because, artificial intelligence doesn't build physical cities, but it is building the digital infrastructure you use every single day.
Yeah, the digital walls and doorways of our lives.
Precisely. And we are discovering that those blueprints are missing a massive chunk of the population.
Which brings us to today's dossier. We're looking at a fascinating set of briefings from the AI Educators Roundtable. This was convened by Mike Hughes, he's a senior human editor, who decided to do something brilliant.
He really did. It's a fantastic approach.
He essentially sat down with 5 of the major AI models. We're talking Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, CoPilot, and Perplexity. And he asked them all the exact same question. Okay, let's unpack this. The core question was, have tech companies automated ageism into AI algorithms?
It is a phenomenal question. And what's immediately striking is the absolute consensus among these 5 completely different, highly competitive systems.
They all agree.
They all analyzed their own underlying structures and unanimously said yes.
Wow.
But they also immediately clarified the stakes. Because this is not some science fiction scenario where an evil supercomputer decides it has a vendetta against senior citizens.
Right. It's not the Terminator going after retirees.
Exactly. It's actually about something much quieter and arguably much more dangerous. Gemini defined it perfectly. It called this phenomenon structural invisibility.
Structural invisibility.
Yeah.
I want you listening to this to really hold on to that phrase, because whether you are 25 right now or 50 or 80, this deep dive is going to reveal how the tools we increasingly rely on for everything are being built with massive silent omissions.
Yeah, tools for banking, healthcare, everything.
Right. And eventually, if we are lucky enough to grow old, those omissions are going to affect every single one of us.
That is the the irony of this specific blind spot. Aging is the one demographic category that we will all eventually enter. But before we look at the real-world consequences, we have to understand the mechanics. Like, how does a machine actually learn to ignore an entire generation?
Well, it comes down to the diet, right? Like how these models are fed.
Exactly. They scrape the open internet, they ingest billions of parameters of text, images, and data to build a statistical model of human reality.
But if you think about where the highest volume of that text is generated, like Reddit, Discord servers, fast-moving tech blogs, TikTok comments, those spaces skew heavily toward younger tech-native demographics.
Precisely. The digitized, hyperactive online lives of younger generations make up the vast bulk of what the machine reads. It's looking in pantries that older adults simply don't frequent as often.
So the data is just lopsided.
Very. And because of that, the AI intrinsically assumes the standard user is about 25 years old, fully digitally fluent, and operating at a certain speed. Which brings us to a really powerful, unfiltered quote from Claude in these Roundtable briefings.
I remember this one.
Summarizing this data disparity, Claude stated, "Ageism was not programmed in, it was starved in."
Starved in. That paints a vivid picture. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, on behalf of you listening.
Go for it.
Because we hear all the time that algorithms are just math. They're just objective processors of data. If they are simply lacking data on a certain demographic, how does an absence of information actively mutate into a bias?
That's a great question.
Right. Like, how does missing data become an action against someone?
That is the crucial pivot. To understand how missing data becomes active harm, the Roundtable used a fantastic analytical framework. They broke the AI's process down into a sequence. 4 pillars.
Okay, break them down for us.
It's what it perceives, how it reasons, what it imagines, and finally, how it acts. Let's start with perception. Because the training data is so aggressively skewed toward the young, normal senior patterns are perceived by the machine not as variations, but as anomalies.
Let me make sure I'm following. You mean if a 70-year-old is interacting with the system, the AI flags their behavior as weird?
Exactly. Perplexity pointed out that things like a slightly slower typing speed or a different, perhaps more formal phrasing style in a prompt look strange to an AI.
Because it was trained on the rapid-fire slang of Silicon Valley software engineers.
Right. Furthermore, ChatGPT noted that because of the data it consumed, the machine perceives the very concept of aging primarily as a medical decline.
A problem to be solved.
Exactly. It completely fails to perceive aging as a stage of life filled with accumulated knowledge, experience, or civic contribution. It just sees a deviation from that 25-year-old baseline.
Which means the AI's entire foundational worldview is warped before it even makes a decision. And that warped perception bleeds directly into how it reasons. And here's where it gets really interesting, because CoPilot pointed out something genuinely terrifying about this reasoning phase.
The safety overcorrections.
Yes. When an AI doesn't understand a demographic, it can overcorrect for safety in ways that actively infantilize older adults.
It's a deeply patronizing loop. The machine spots that slower typing speed or different phrasing. It reasons, based on stereotypes in its limited data, that older automatically equals higher risk or diminished capability.
Oh, wow. So it just assumes they can't handle it.
Exactly. So it might falsely assume cognitive decline and simplify its answers, or restrict the user's options entirely, all under the guise of protecting them.
That's essentially talking down to them. And if its reasoning is that flawed, its imagination is even worse.
Which is a third pillar, imagination.
Right. Generative AI systems are essentially imagination engines. We ask them to picture things all the time. Generate an image of a CEO. Write a story about a traveler. Imagine an ideal worker.
And both ChatGPT and Perplexity highlighted that the machine's imagination is incredibly narrow when it comes to seniors.
It just draws a blank.
More like it relies on tropes. It simply cannot picture what it has not been shown. If you ask an AI to generate an image of a startup founder or a digital learner or a grandmother running an AI workshop, it struggles. It defaults to portraying seniors as frail, passive, or confused.
To put that in everyday terms for you listening, imagine a user asks a chatbot to build an itinerary for a vacation for a 65-year-old.
A very common use case.
The AI, relying on its narrow imagination, spits out generic river cruises and mobility-friendly bus tours. It completely ignores the possibility that this specific 65-year-old might want to hike the Swiss Alps.
Because it just reflects the young developer's stereotype of aging.
Exactly. But that is a perfect low-stakes example of the bias. When you string all of this together, this skewed perception, this infantilizing reasoning, and this narrow imagination, you arrive at the final stage.
Action. The real-world outcomes. And this is the so what of this entire deep dive. CoPilot and Perplexity were crystal clear that these aren't philosophical debates about computer code. The harms are lived, paperwork-based, and very real.
We are talking about automated exclusions that you might not even realize are happening. For example, hiring systems.
Oh, absolutely.
We know companies use algorithms to scan resumes, but if those algorithms equate value with the trajectory of a 30-year-old tech worker, they quietly filter out older applicants whose career timelines look different.
Or financial tools. Algorithms that automatically flag seniors as high risk by default simply because their spending patterns don't match the baseline.
Which leads to less favorable credit or insurance decisions.
And we really need to look closely at the most alarming area, healthcare triage tools.
Yeah, this part was wild.
Hospitals and clinics increasingly use algorithmic systems to allocate medical resources or prioritize patients. Often these systems use metrics like quality-adjusted life years, or QALYs, to determine the efficiency of a treatment.
Let's break that down, because I think that's where the math really shows its teeth.
It really does. If a triage algorithm is programmed to maximize the sheer number of years of life saved across a hospital population, it inherently disadvantages an older patient.
Wait, so mathematically?
Mathematically, the algorithm calculates that a 25-year-old has more potential future years than a 75-year-old. So it views the older patient as a declining asset rather than a whole person requiring care.
That is bleak.
It subtly shifts the older adult down the priority list, not out of malice, but through a cold, automated optimization based on a flawed baseline.
It's terrifying because it is a completely quiet harm. You don't get a letter from the hospital or the bank saying, we deprioritized you because you are 65. You just get rejected by an algorithm that literally does not have the capacity to understand the value of your life.
Which is exactly why we can't just throw our hands up and wait for tech companies to eventually audit their own systems. This brings us to the intervention side of the dossier.
Right. How do you protect yourself right now, today, when interacting with systems that possess these massive blind spots?
This is where Mike Hughes' mission comes into play, and his approach is incredibly refreshing. He teaches what he calls AI reasonability. He hyphenates it, reason-ability. The ability to reason with a machine.
It strips away the intimidation factor. He isn't trying to turn seniors into computer scientists. He wants to help people evaluate AI calmly. No fear, no naivety, and absolutely no getting hypnotized by the tech industry's hype.
And he publishes a column on Medium that captures this perfectly. It's called It Never Hurts to Ask.
Such a great title.
He frames the act of asking clear, demanding questions of these machines as a sign of strength. You aren't asking because you are confused by the technology. You are asking because you demand accuracy.
And to teach this, Mike developed a tangible tool called the AI Game of Cards.
It is a brilliant pedagogical device. It functions as a metaphor. Learning AI shouldn't feel like getting a master's degree. It should feel like learning the rules of a new card game, one rule at a time.
I love that. And it's a real deck, right?
Yeah, it's a physical deck of cards that can be printed and handed to someone. Each card teaches one safeguard, with a QR code linking back to SeniorAIForum.org for further learning.
It makes the abstract concrete. And in the briefing, Mike actually asked the AI models to propose cards for this deck based on their own analysis of their blind spots.
Right, he had them do the work. Let's look at a few of them. Gemini proposed something called the mirror card.
The underlying rule of the mirror card is that if an AI's output feels like a stereotype, like your example of the chatbot assuming the 65-year-old can't hike the Alps, it's just reflecting its creators. It is a mirror.
Exactly. So the play for the user is to explicitly challenge the machine.
So what does the user actually do? Like they type back and say what?
You literally prompt the machine by asking, what assumptions are you making about my age in this response?
Oh, I love that. It forces the AI to articulate its hidden logic. Then we have ChatGPT's contribution to the deck, which called the missing chair. I assume this is about who gets a seat at the table.
Spot on. It targets the starved-in data problem. The rule is that if seniors weren't in the room during training, the system might fundamentally misunderstand them. So your move as a user is to ask the AI, who helped design this system? Did the testing phase include older adults?
That naturally leads into Perplexity's proposal, which is the missing voice card. The rule here is that if no older adults help shape the system, you must treat its decisions about seniors as incomplete, never final.
Never final. That's key.
Right. So if an AI decision affects your health triage or your loan application, you ask the human representative, who did you test this algorithm on, and did it include people my age?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these cards are executing a dual strategy. On a micro level, they protect you in the moment, giving you a framework to push back against a biased output.
Giving you agency.
Yes. But on a macro level, it's about volume. By consistently demanding answers to these questions, users are forcing the machine and the tech companies that monitor these prompt logs to account for the missing demographics.
Right, because thousands of people asking, what assumptions are you making, forces the system to adapt.
Reasonable questions improve the machine over time.
They expose the blind spots through sheer volume of inquiry, but empowering individuals to ask questions is the immediate defense. It's the tourniquet.
Right, it's treating the symptom.
The ultimate goal of the Roundtable and of Mike's work is systemic change. We want to fix the blueprint of the city, not just teach people how to climb the steep stairs. Which leads us to a really surprising revelation from Claude in these briefings. Claude pointed out that America is actually lagging behind on this. Ireland has already fixed this issue.
This was a fascinating detail to uncover.
Yeah.
Ireland has implemented an age-friendly AI initiative, and it isn't just a suggestion or a voluntary focus group. It makes the presence of older adults mandatory in AI design spaces.
Wait, really? Mandatory?
Yes. It is a requirement before these systems are deployed into society. America, conversely, has largely left tech companies to self-regulate, allowing them to build whatever they want, using whatever skewed data they find convenient.
But Mike is actively trying to change that. He is launching a 501c3 nonprofit specifically to import this Irish standard to the United States.
Which is a huge undertaking.
And he asked the AI models to help him name this new organization, which sparked a deeply philosophical debate between the models about how to frame this entire movement.
It really highlights the nuances of advocacy and how we perceive aging. ChatGPT analyzed the goal and strongly advocated for the name the Age-Friendly AI Initiative.
Following the Irish model.
Right. The logic was pragmatic. It aligns perfectly with the proven Irish model, which gives it immediate credibility with lawmakers. It sounds official. It emphasizes standards, and it is completely ready for global media coverage.
It's very top-down, very policy-driven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But CoPilot took a totally different angle. CoPilot actually generated a deeply analytical grid, mapping out different identities for the nonprofit, and it pushed back against the age-friendly framing.
What did it suggest instead?
They recommended the name AI Educators for America.
Ah. And CoPilot's reasoning for that pivot was profound.
It really was. It argued that a name like AI Educators for America centers seniors as participating leaders in the technology space. It actively rejects the narrative that seniors are passive, vulnerable recipients who need to be protected or made friendly toward.
It empowers them.
Yes, it positions them as an active civic force, teaching vital literacy to the rest of the nation.
That is a subtle distinction, but a massive one. It asks a fundamental question about how change happens. I'm curious what you think, listening to this. What works better? Appealing to policymakers to protect a vulnerable class, which is ChatGPT's route, or empowering a grassroots movement of senior educators who simply demand a seat at the table, which is CoPilot's route?
It is the classic debate found in almost any inclusion movement. Do you change the policy to change the culture, or change the culture to force the policy?
Right.
But what both models agreed on is the absolute necessity of forcing the issue. The invisibility cannot remain structural.
Okay, let's unpack this. So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive by asking if tech companies have automated ageism into artificial intelligence.
And the answer is yes.
Yes, but not maliciously. They haven't programmed it in. They've starved it in through sheer durable indifference to anyone who doesn't fit their 25-year-old baseline. They built the digital city and forgot to measure a massive portion of the population.
Well said.
But by practicing reasonability, by refusing to be hypnotized by the hype, by playing the AI game of cards, and by demanding a seat at the design table, we can force the technology to accurately reflect the whole population.
It is an incredibly empowering realization. But this raises one final important question, and it's something I want to leave you to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have spent this entire time talking about the structural invisibility of older adults because they were absent from the design rooms a few years ago. But we know AI's training data is simply a mirror of whoever is currently generating the most data.
Right.
So what other hidden demographics are being starved out right now? What regional dialects, what unique socioeconomic realities or rural life experiences are entirely absent from the blueprint of the next generation of artificial intelligence?
Wow. If you aren't in the data, you don't exist to the machine.
Exactly. And if the machine continues to only optimize for the 25-year-old tech worker today, will there come a day when every single one of us, no matter who we are or where we live, eventually ages out of the algorithm's favor?
It really makes you rethink that master architect analogy. You have to make sure you are in the blueprint, or the city simply won't be built for you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep playing your cards right, and remember, it never hurts to ask the right questions.
Oh, yeah. Phone in your pocket, keys by the door. You've got places to be.